friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I bring you two graphic novels that I have read and wanted to share my thoughts on. I have Witchy by Ariel Salamit Rise, I think I'm saying that right, and I have Seance Tea Party by Ramina Yee. Ooh, let's go ahead and jump in. I'm gonna start with Seance Tea Party. So basically this is a middle level, I think middle school type book. I haven't read a ton of middle school books as an adult, but I was really into the idea of this particular graphic novel. Basically the premise of this is it's focused on a 12 or 13-year-old girl named Laura, L-O-R-A, I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. And she is struggling with this phase of her life where she still very much enjoys quote-unquote childish things, but is struggling because all the people around her, all of her classmates, all of her friends, seem to be growing up and growing away from her, where they're very much no longer wanting to do childish things. And they're more focused on being more mature and being more adult, and that phase where you just want to be older than you are. And she just doesn't know how to fit in because she still very much enjoys these younger types of things. And so she ends up one night on her own on Halloween doing a seance. And when she does this seance, she actually renders up this ghost who she realizes was always living in her house, but was an imaginary friend as a child. And now that she's a little bit older, this ghost has come back into her life and is no longer just an imaginary friend, but she recognizes is someone who is a ghost that she played with. And she really appreciates this ghost that she's spending time with. The ghost's name is Alexa, and basically Alexa helps her sort of get her footing in the sense of appreciating and accepting that it's okay to still like childish things even as you get older, and you don't have to kill that side of you in order to be someone who gets older. You can do both. And she sort of helps Laura understand just how to grow up without losing yourself. And it's a really powerful story. I think it's something that I think goes beyond middle schoolers. I think high schoolers could read this. I think as an adult, I enjoyed being reminded of that message, because I don't know if we've noticed based on my bookshelf here, which is mostly Harry Potter, I am still a child wrapped into this body. And I'm not ashamed of that. I love going to the movies and seeing little kid movies, even though I'm not a little kid and don't have little kids. I'm here for it. Give me all the Disney Onward movies. I will be there opening night. It's just something that I've accepted about myself. And I think that it's a message that's really important. I chewed through this. This is a pretty dense graphic novel, but I was able to go through it so fast, not only because the story was compelling, but unlike other graphic novels I've read, there are a lot of pages that are mostly just imagery. It's not always wording. So here's an example where it's just pictures and not necessarily text. So you've got this page and then the very next page. I feel like the balance of dialogue and images, it leans heavier in imagery. And maybe that's because it's a middle level graphic novel. So they are still pairing that sense of a lot of heavy reading versus a lot of pictures. So that really was what got me to go through it so quickly, but I really enjoyed it. This is not the first graphic novel written by Ramina Yee. The first one that she wrote is called The Carpet Merchant of Constantinia. I'm probably saying that wrong, I'm super sorry. But I couldn't get my hands on it at the time. My library didn't have it, so I put in a request for this, and they, I think, recently purchased it and sent it my way, so I'm happy to have read it. I really, really want to read her other graphic novel. I don't think I want to purchase it just because graphic novels are pricey, and for how quickly I read them, it's not a good price per reading point. That felt like made up words there, but just go with it. So if I can't get it at the library, I probably won't be able to read it, but I'm hoping I can. Definitely recommend this. If you've got a middle schooler in your life, please give this book to them to read, because it's really powerful. And if you're somebody who just wants a good, fun, positive message kind of graphic novel, this is for you. This was delightful. All right, now that we've talked about Seance Tea Party, let's go ahead and talk about Witchy. This is a very different book experience. This is very much grounded in fantasy world. The premise of the story is that there's this girl named Naive. I feel like I'm saying her name wrong. It's just par for the course. I'm always apt to mispronounce a name. But it's focused on a girl named Naive. Her father was killed because his hair was deemed too long and thus he was too powerful. So the witch's guard came in and killed him because he posed a threat. And because of this, Naive has sworn that she never wants to be forced to be a part of the witch's guard, and she doesn't really agree with the rules of her society. So she intentionally, despite having very long hair and is thus very powerful, she masks herself in society and ties her hair up so that nobody knows how long her hair is. But ultimately, the conflict of the story is that it is discovered that her hair is very long, and she is meant to then be recruited by the witch guard, and she chooses to cut her hair off and try to flee the society that she does not agree with, which sets her on a path of both like awakening and discovery and also like fighting the good fight. So it's really interesting. I definitely get the impression with this graphic novel that this is not a standalone. There's probably going to be, at least I hope there's going to be, a follow-up book to this, because it's left very open at the end. Like, you don't get a whole lot of sense of resolution or where the story is headed, because much like any hero's journey, she's very much trying to fight the call to, you know, start a rebellion and work with a group of people who also are similar minded to her. It's very interesting. I also appreciate this story because it has a transgender character in here. I'm fairly certain I've never read a story, graphic novel, or novel that has a transgender character front and center in the story. And I really appreciate that. I think that's really powerful. There's also other minority voices presented in the story. And I just think that that is so refreshing to see more diversity in the world of literature, whether it's a graphic novel or not. I was very impressed by that, and I really appreciated the messaging behind it. I think the story was just really interesting, and the way Naive is progressing in the story, I really found compelling. Yes, the premise at first seemed a little bit goofy, but in the end, this story proves very worthwhile and really interesting. So I definitely recommend Witchy, and I'm really trying to keep my eyes peeled for whether or not we're going to get a sequel to this. I really hope we do, and when and if we do, I probably will snag it because I already have this one. This I own because it came in an Owl Crate, and I definitely have to pay credit to Owl Crate. They have really been turning me on to graphic novels. A few years ago, I probably would have never read a graphic novel. I just sort of had written the genre off, minus like my reading of The Walking Dead. But aside from that, I never really turned to it as a place to get interesting books. I sort of just wrote the genre off. So I'm really happy to be exposed to it. This is a great one. Seance Tea Party, also a great one. I do recommend both. I think that they are both powerful and really enjoyable, sort of quick reads. And so if you're looking for some quick, exciting graphic novels, definitely feel free to snag either one of these. I really hope that you guys enjoyed hearing my commentary on these, and I look forward to coming back to you real soon with yet another book review. Thanks for tuning in.